The internet went through the exact same thing. The exact same thing. And I know it's tough to compare the internet to Bitcoin, but they're both protocols. And so just think about this for a second. Think about if you could have had the opportunity back in 1995 or 1996, if you could have had the opportunity to invest in the internet. And I'm sure if you talk to the average person out there, maybe even more advanced than the average person out there, they would kind of compare the Bitcoin ETF and Bitcoin. You might compare the ETF to owning an Apple share back in 1995. And you might compare Bitcoin. Imagine Bitcoin, or imagine back in 1995 with the internet. Imagine that there was a device where you could hold it, you could own it, and that was the only thing that you could use the internet on. And there was one company who made it, and you could invest in that company. And their device would be the only device that you could use the internet on. And think about, where the internet is today, 15 years later. But with that, I mean, like I said, if you ask the average person about how to compare Bitcoin to, what would they say? That's what they might say. But you also have to consider the fact that it's so much different than that. Because with Bitcoin, if you think about Apple shares and investing in the ETF, it's different, because with Apple, if their company introduces a new technology, a new product, the iPhone, the iPad, the iPod, they could just issue more shares. And so eventually the supply would meet demand. And even with that device that I was talking about, the only device on earth that's compatible with the internet, the company that made that, even if you invested in them with the internet and 15 years into the internet, what would happen there? They would just produce more devices. And so eventually the supply would keep up to the demand and prices would fall back down. But with Bitcoin, we're going through the exact same thing. It's a protocol, but with Bitcoin, you can actually own a piece of it. And with Bitcoin, you can't issue more shares. With Bitcoin, you can't create more products to satisfy that demand. You can't do it. And so we are truly going to go into a place here sometime in the next couple of years where the supply is so short and the demand is so high, and there's no ability to make more of it. And when that happens, if you understand economics, if you understand very basic economics, when supply can't keep up with demand, what happens there? And that's what we're going to go through. That's what we're going to go through. BTC Backpacker says,